So, Peter, is El Salvador's president open to receiving more criminal migrants to come to his notorious mega prison?
Yes, Sandra, and that is the backbone of this newly blossoming relationship between the United States and El Salvador.
We're a great country, but we had stupid people running this country, and I can say it. But what they've done to us at the border should never and can never be forgotten. It's a sin, what they did, and you are helping us out, and we appreciate it.
Anybody who is anybody that could help get Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. is in the Oval Office right now. The Supreme Court wants the White House to help facilitate his return after that lower court ruled he was wrongfully deported. But it's not going to happen. White House officials say he was determined years ago to be a gang member, and the El Salvador president says releasing him doesn't make sense for either country, so he won't.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
So you could release him inside El Salvador?
Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country.
This is the first day in weeks since Liberation Day that tariff talk has not completely dominated the conversation here as you go down tent by tent on the North Lawn. But it did come up. President Trump said a few minutes ago there will soon be new tariffs on pharmaceutical imports. Sandra.
Peter Doocy at the White House with the news for us. Peter, thank you. For more on that, let's bring in Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director and former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. So first, here's President Trump in that Oval Office meeting a short time ago when he was specifically asked if he's open to deporting more criminal migrants. Here's the Q&A.
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens, but are criminals, to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens fully naturalized American?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What, do you think there's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in.
Jonathan, safe to say the president was very firm in his message.
Yes, he is very firm on this, and it's having a tremendous effect as we see every single day at the border. Nobody's coming across anymore, and I don't mean literally, but as Bill Maloogian reports daily, the numbers are so small because people know that President Trump will deport them if they're criminals and send them back, or whether to their country or to El Salvador or somewhere else. So it's having a tremendous benefit. And I think one of the things that's interesting with this Maryland man, Mr. Garcia, is what is being talked about. Even if he's returned here, DHS could reopen his case based on change of circumstances and have him removed anyway, because when he was deported, the murder rate in El Salvador was staggeringly high, and now it's dropped 95% from about 2,400 a year down to about 100 or so a year. They have a murder rate equivalent to Sweden, so he would be much safer in El Salvador, arguably, than he was if he was kept here.
Jonathan, President Bukele has said that the U.S. is paying El Salvador a fee of about $6 million to house these gang members in CCOT. I don't know about you, but that seems not like a whole lot of money. So I guess the question is, what's the benefit for El Salvador? What's their incentive to want to house these violent criminals from around the world on behalf of the United States?
It would seem their incentive, assuming the $6 million doesn't mean very much to them, my guess is would be the relationship value with the United States. Also, I think it sends a message, and he's been very clear on this message, that the gang activity in El Salvador is done. He wants it to be a safe country. So I think it sends a message not only within his country, but externally, that gang activity is not tolerated there. But I think mostly it's probably the relationship between him and the United States and him and other countries, and that's probably the main reason he's doing so.
Yeah, Stephen Miller was in that Oval Office meeting. He was also speaking outside of the White House today, and he seems to want to set the record straight that this is criminal migrants and those who are here illegally. Listen.
You seem to be under the impression that El Salvadorians living in our country illegally just get to stay here. They don't. They get arrested and deported. Then the fact that they're MS-13 just puts an extra priority on our deporting them. But we would deport someone to El Salvador regardless of whether or not they're MS-13 if they were here illegally.
Your reaction to that? Jonathan?
Yeah, he's exactly right. There's almost this idea, and you see it in the media, you saw it with the previous administration, that it's people here illegally were presumptively treated as if they have every right to be here and every benefit of the United States, and they certainly don't. And I think this person from El Salvador is such a good example, because if he is a gang member, that's a reason to deport him. But if he's not, it's just as strong of a reason, because there's really no safety risk for him going back there if he's not. So there's really no good argument for him to stay. And the only reason he wants to stay is because it's better for him. And President Trump is making our immigration policy about what's better for the United States citizens, what's better for public safety, and he's been consistent on this all the way through.
I want to get your thoughts on some of the messaging from the Trump administration. They really seem to like to show their work, show the consequences. The last 4 years under the Biden administration, we'd be down at the border and we'd have lines of people, hundreds of people long, literally waving to our cameras in a single file line like they're in line at a theme park. Now we get these images, we were just showing them a moment ago, of people handcuffed, shackled, being put on flights, being stuffed into this notorious mega prison in El Salvador. That's intimidating for people who would maybe want to cross the border. The idea that, hey, I could be one of these guys, I could be sent to El Salvador. Do you think that messaging is in part behind these remarkably low numbers at the border right now?
Yeah, I would think that's one of the biggest factors in it, because it's really pitch perfect. It sends the message, we're done. The Biden open borders, free stuff when you get here is over, and you'll be deported, and you'll be deported in a way that's not convenient for you. So I think it's very good. And all law enforcement, the strongest law enforcement is deterrence. You don't have law enforcement where you catch the bad guy. You want them not to do anything. That's why security, cops on the street, things like that are so strong at sending the message. And the administration has been so effective at that. Without any new resources, they've basically eliminated the problem at the southern border.
Jonathan, great to have you on. Thank you so much.